How's it going, guys? Welcome back. In this section, we are going to finish up with the configuration here for Djoser, and then we're going to actually test out these API requests with Postman and see if everything works. So first thing I'm going to do is in this accounts app, I'm going to create a new file here called serializers.py. Let's make sure I spelled that right, because I always end up butchering the spelling. I think it looks good, but we'll find out. Okay, and then I'm going to do from Djoser.serializers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to import user create serializer, and we're basically going to overwrite this serializer. Then I'm also going to need from rest underscore framework. Actually, no, I won't need serializers from rest underscore framework now that I think about it. What I will need is from django.contrib.auth. I'm going to need to import get user model, and then I'm going to have to actually grab that user model. So user is equal to get user model. So when we have a custom user model, this is how we retrieve it. And then within here, I'm going to create the serializer. So class user create serializer. We're going to pass in user create serializer in here. I'm going to do class meta. I'm going to pass in user create serializer dot meta. And then the model is going to be user. And then the fields are going to be ID, email, name, and password. Ooh. And that's it. So that's how we create the serializer, or I guess how we overwrite it. And now back in our settings, what we're going to want to do is we're going to do user underscore create. We're going to do accounts.serializers. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this word serializer so I don't mess up the spelling, because I always mess up the spelling of this. So serializers.user create serializer. Actually, all I can do is I'm going to just copy this down 2 more times. I'm going to need user, and I'm going to need user underscore delete. And then this is actually going to come from Djoser.serializers.user delete serializer. Okay, so user is going to be using that user create serializer. It's going to be the exact same. And then user create is going to also be using that user create serializer. All right, so there we go. That's our backend all complete. Now let's go ahead and test this out. So here I have Postman open. Now what we're going to want to do, I'm actually going to kind of reconfigure this a little. Have this right here, nice and handy. And then you're going to want to go into the Djoser documentation, go to the base endpoints, and here we're going to have the different endpoints we're going to want to reach out to. So I guess the first one is going to be a post request. Here we're creating a user. So let's make this a post request. It's going to be http://localhost 8000. And now here it's /users/, but it's /users/, but one thing you want to make sure is that you actually do, if we go back into our code and we open up our root URLs, we have this auth here. So make sure that you have auth. So auth/users/ will be the actual endpoint here that we're making. So make sure you have that. And now what are some fields we have to pass in? So of course we have our username, and then any other required fields, then password and repassword. So let's go ahead and do that. So in our headers, we're going to have to pass in content type. It's going to be application JSON. And then in the body, we're going to pass in some raw data. We're going to have email. We're going to have the name. We're going to have password. And we're going to have repassword. All right, so let's go ahead and do these. So I'm just going to go into my settings here and grab my email here just so I don't mess up the email spelling. Just paste that in there. Name is going to be John Doe. And let's set up a password. So let's see, what would be a good password? My awesome password 123. All right, so we'll pass this in and we'll try to now create a user. So let's make this request, see if it works, and it's not gonna work because I'm not running my backend. So let's do that quickly. So run the server and let's see. Of course I messed this up. Okay, PostgreSQL. Where is that? And what else did I mess up? PostgreSQL isn't an available database backend. And that, of course, is because, again, I did not spell this right. So let's try this again. PostgreSQL. Okay, so now we have a different issue here. So value error. So dependency on app migrations accounts. Of course, we have to do Python manage.py make migrations. Python manage.py migrate. And now let's run the server. There we go. So now with all that, we can go back here and actually send that API request. So we got a type error. Why did we get a type error? All right, so I think what the issue is, if we go back into our settings, because this here is a tuple and there's only one value, I think I need to have a comma here. So I have a comma here, but this also isn't a tuple, so that's fine. But yeah, here I believe I needed a comma and that's what was going on there. So let's go back here, send that request again. So settings object has no attribute activation URL. And that's because I spelled this wrong. Activation URL. So let's fix that. Send this request again. And there we go. User account with this email already exists. Oh my. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do Python manage.py flush just to remove that from the database so I can actually create it properly here. Now let's go ahead and run this. And there we go. So name John Doe, email, and ID. And now we should get an email. There it is. You're receiving this email because you need to finish activation process. All right. And actually, something I want to do, instead of having it being sent to myself, I'm going to log into the other dummy email I created. So here's that other dummy email I have. Let's just remove some of these things here. This was from before. So let me delete that. And I'm going to be using this email instead. So this one. Let's create that. So there we go. We created this user, John Doe, with this email. And now let's just go ahead and save this. So this is going to be user create. All right. So now we can create a user. Let's test out some other stuff here. And we also should have received an email. And there it is. So here's our activation URL. So localhost 8000, activate. So of course, once we have our front end set up, once you click this, it'll navigate to our front end where we're gonna have a button verify. And then when we click that button verify, what we're gonna do is we are going to make a request to this URL. So now this is the next thing we're gonna do. So we're gonna set up a URL in order to actually activate our account. So localhost 8000 auth users activation. This is going to be a post request. We're going to pass in the UID and the token. So post request, headers, content, type, application, JSON, and then we're going to pass in raw data here. We're going to pass in the UID and the token. And now we actually have access to this UID and token because they are right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this MG, put that right in here. And of course, we're getting this error because our build template doesn't currently exist, so we can't actually navigate to this URL, but that's fine. All we really need are these fields here. I'm going to grab that, paste that right in here as the token, and I'm going to send this request to our backend. All right, so let's see if that worked. We should get an activation confirmation. Your account has been successfully created and activated. Awesome. So our account is activated. Now let's try to log into our account. All right, so to actually log into our account, we're going to do these JWT endpoints, and our login will be to this endpoint request here. So first of all, let's go ahead and save this as user account verification, I guess. And of course, that is spelt wrong because my keyboard is absolutely busted. There we go. Now let's make a request to localhost 8000/auth JWT create. Now this is going to be a post request. We're going to pass in the username, which is our email, and then password. And now why is it username? Because we have this username field attribute. And if we go to our custom user model, our username field attribute is email. So that's why we're using email, in case if you're wondering. So email, password. So post request, we're going to make the headers, content, type, application, JSON, send some raw data, and then that's going to be email and password. So I'm going to go ahead, go to this user create, just grab this email, paste that right in here, and then grab our wonderful password here, and let's test this out. I'm going to send a request, and we should get an access and refresh token, and we do. So we get our refresh token, and we get our access token, which now you can actually use in order to authorize different API routes. Now in this, I guess, project, I'm not actually having any views where you have to be like authorized and stuff, but it's very simple to do. You just pass an authorization header. You're going to do JWT space this token, and that'll be your authorization route. So actually that might be something I add into this project just to show at the end. I'll see. But it might be good to actually have that included. And then, of course, we can test even this route out. So localhost 8000 auth JWT refresh. Let's go ahead and copy some of this stuff so I don't have to type it. Application JSON, and then in our body, we're going to pass this refresh attribute. And then we're going to pass our refresh token. And then that should give us access to a new refresh token. So let's go ahead, send that. Method get not allowed, of course, has to be a post request, and there we go, we get a new access token. So that's how this refresh route works. So let's save these two routes. This one is going to be, I guess, get JSON Web Tokens, because it's the access and refresh tokens. And then this can be like get new access token or something. So I'll save those. Alright, so what are some other things we want to do? So let's go back to our base endpoints. So we have user create, user activate, You can do user delete even. Let's see, what are some things we want to do? So we want to do reset password. That's one of the things here. All right, so we are going to send a request to this. So let's go ahead and do that. That is going to be a post request where we pass in our email field. So post request, localhost, 8000, auth, users, reset password. And then we're going to have, again, content type, application, JSON. Going to pass in raw data. We're going to pass in our email. And then let's go here, grab this email, copy, and paste that in here, send a request. There we go. Now we should get an email. So password reset on localhost to 8000. And now we get this URL here, which once we have our front end, of course, when we click this, our React side is going to handle this URL and give us a page where we can reset our password. So now we can go ahead and click this. Of course, we're getting this whole nasty error again because we don't have our build template yet. And our backend is trying to look for it. So we will have this later, and this won't be something that's present later on. But right now, all I need is to grab this here. So basically, where is it? So once we do our password reset confirmation, I'm going to have to pass in the UID and the token. And let me just go and check something real quick. So this right here isn't actually good. This should be a slash, not a comma. I don't know why I didn't notice that. So I was kind of noticing this URL is a little messed up here. So this comma should be a slash. So that's going to be fixed now. So I'm just going to need to grab this UID. So let's make a new post request here. We're going to have content type, application, JSON. In the body, I'm going to have UID. I'm going to pass that in. I'm going to have token. The token is going to be this right here. And grab that, paste that in here, and let's see what else we need. So base endpoints, we need new password and renew password. So new password and renew password. So let's set a new password. This incredible password 321. So we're going to grab that, and we're going to attempt now to actually reset this password. Of course, we have to pass in HTTP localhost 8000 auth, and then the actual MPI or API endpoint, which is users reset password confirm. So let's send our API request here. 403 forbidden. I'm going to make another request here. And let's see if my endpoint is good. Oh, it was forbidden because I didn't have this slash at the end. So let's put that slash. Let's send the request. Okay, now it should have worked. So if I go back, your password has been successfully changed. So now let's go ahead and confirm that that's happened. And before I do that, I'm just going to save these two. So request new password. And then this one's going to be reset password. Okay, so if we go into our login here, so right now what we have in our body is our old password. So if we go ahead and try to get an access token, no active account found with the given credentials. So of course we're gonna have to pass in our new password that we set up. So let's go test that out. Paste this in here, send a request, and now we get our refresh and access token. So there we go. So resetting the password worked. All right, so now we have our backend fully set up. We tested all the routes that we're gonna use, and of course there's many other routes in here that you can also use, which is pretty cool. So you can do like reset username. So you would do reset username, you would again do a post request to this route. You would get a link where you'd have your UID and token, which then you could pass into this and reset your username, which in our case is like the email. So there's like other things you can do here. You can expand further. But of course, what I did so far should kind of give you the foundation to actually be able to go ahead and implement more of these things. So I hope you enjoyed this section where we ended up completing the backend setup, fixing some of the little issues we had, and actually testing all these endpoints and making sure they work. And now that our backend is fully functional, now we can go ahead in the next section and set up our React front end and actually utilize this pretty cool authentication system. So hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this content, and I'll see you in the next section. Thank you.